I blocked my aunt and cousin to stop their harassment after my partner and I refused to give up our baby for adoption. I am 8 months along in my pregnancy, 24F, and ever since I told my aunt and cousin, they have been causing me problems. We already love our girl, and neither my spouse nor I intend to part with her. However, my aunt wants me to give my cousin, who has been infertile for the previous 5 years, my child. To put that in perspective, my aunt has been a motherly role to my sister and me since our mother died when we were very little. Throughout our lives, we have maintained a close relationship with our aunt and cousin, and we have made an effort to help my cousin during her infertility issues. Being a Mormon who frequently goes to church and has a strict, narrow-minded perspective on morality, values, and leading a decent life, my aunt is also highly religious. According to her, a child should have a loving, caring mother, a father who provides for them, and a solid religious foundation. My spouse feels that my child will grow up in our home confused and misinformed because we both have full-time jobs and occupations and she is not a Christian. She claims that the child won't have the right care and identity because of our differing religious beliefs. She worries that in such a setting, our child's welfare won't be given priority and that they might choose a bad, immoral route. She feels that my cousin, who works from home part-time, and her spouse are far more qualified to give my child a caring household that is infused with religion and morals. My cousin and aunt have moved to a new house where they are unaware of the address, and I have blocked them from most forms of communication. To be sure they won't have any influence over my medical choices, my boyfriend and I also got married in a private ceremony. My aunt has been more hostile to me than the other one. She even yelled and argued when she arrived at my former flat one day in an attempt to teach me about the circumstances. She tried to get me to meet her at a cafe close to her church so we could talk about the baby in a phony, nice voice. She persisted even after I told her that we had nothing to talk about and that I was keeping the baby. Eventually, I had to tell the apartment manager and hide in my flat. It took her around 30 minutes to leave. Additionally, my aunt has involved her religious acquaintances, who occasionally leave me angry voicemails and texts. In contrast, my cousin has been more reserved around me, but she is dealing with trauma and despair following the preterm labor that resulted in the death of her baby daughter at 30 weeks of pregnancy. She has been participating in motherhood-related forums and commenting frequently on social media. Rumor has it, though, that she has been attempting to conceive through these groups and has been expelled from numerous of them as a result of her actions. She has been accused of pressuring widows and young moms for their children, which has devastated her. My cousin, who sees my baby girl as a replacement for her late child, is reportedly waiting for me to give birth because she is yearning for a child to fix her family. My aunt and cousin both seem to think that I will eventually give up my child because I will become overburdened with parental duties. They believe that I will allow my cousin to be adopted by her husband. My aunt maintains that I may have another child in the future and claims that since we are family, delivering my kid to my cousin shouldn't be as difficult as it may be. She thinks that since I'm still young and intend to go to graduate school after working for a time, this should be a simple decision. It seems like my cousin wants to get back in touch with me like we did before I became pregnant. But I'm not going to talk to her again until after I give birth. This is to assess her emotional state and avoid adding to my pregnant stress. Growing up, I liked her more than my aunt and had always been there for her during her infertility ordeal. However, her recent actions and thoughts have startled me and caused me to worry about my safety. Since we got married in secret this year, my partner and I are organizing a large wedding celebration for next year. I'm not sure if my aunt or cousin would be able to make it or be invited. Aside from people who are close to my aunt and cousin, I currently get a lot of support from both sides of my family. In a year though, I'm not sure if that support will still be there or how my relationship with my aunt and cousin will change. I have missed a few family occasions that I knew they would be at, but I don't want to permanently miss out on pleasant times and family get-togethers. After my baby is born, I'm not sure how things will work out with my aunt and cousin and what problems might result from this circumstance. I was raised in a culture that viewed starting a family and having children as a reward for leading a morally upright life. Even if you were truly having difficulties, you were rarely given judgment-free assistance and were frequently harshly criticized for any perceived flaws. Adoptions were a big part of my church's work, and I think they still are. The birth mothers were frequently young, unmarried, single, or in some other way viewed as ungodly. If birth moms decided to raise their children, the church would intimidate and stress them regarding their future and the fate of their offspring. These infants were frequently given to Mormon couples who were unable to conceive or who wished to look altruistic by saving an innocent child and providing the biological mother with an opportunity to fix her life and lead a fulfilling life. I am now extremely cautious of this practice since it terrifies me. First adoption update. My aunt and cousin, who are also active members, and I spoke with the local church head about the matter. After a lengthy conversation, he first disregarded my worries as family disputes and recommended that I seek counseling. We told him about my cousin's false dreams of adopting my baby, whom she feels would grow up in a decent household, and how she is still struggling with the trauma of the death of her baby. We also informed him of the serious disruption and stress my aunt has been inflicting by feeding into these hopes and nagging me on her behalf. The pastor of the church expressed empathy for me and admitted that he knew what my cousin was going through because she couldn't conceive. He promised to get in touch with my aunt and cousin to find out their version of events. I had another conversation with him today. He was worried that I had stopped talking to my aunt and cousin, especially since I moved away, and claimed they would like to talk to me. I questioned him about what they had said and told him that their actions with regard to my baby had influenced my choice to break off communication. He said that because of her health, my cousin's IVF treatments are unlikely to be successful, therefore she had talked to a church therapist and was considering adoption as a way to have a family. Despite what my cousin had been thinking, I made it clear to him that I was not giving up my kid. After stating that he understood, he started to inquire about my personal situation. He then recommended that we seek therapy services and made another attempt to arrange a meeting between us and my aunt and cousin. I informed him that just now, I didn't feel comfortable with that. He suggested that I at least give my cousin a call once, and if I was too afraid to do it myself, he would meet with my aunt on Sunday. That was the end of our call. In the upcoming days, I'll update this site with his comments. Change. Since I don't want to make a completely new post for it, I will also change this one to make updates easier to discover. Edit. I don't like his response, and I don't like the pressure he's giving me to get back in touch with my aunt and cousin. Even though he claims to understand my worries, I think he is being condescending and attempting to pressure us to settle our differences too soon. Since he has religious authority and influence over my aunt and cousin, my boyfriend and I first decided it would be worthwhile to try to get in touch with him. When we speak on the phone again, I'll listen to his response and figure out how to get him to give my concerns more weight. To be clear, I didn't give him any personal information, and I don't have any intentions to see my aunt and cousin in person. We do not reside in Utah, and we have already gotten in touch with legal assistance. Update 2, I made the decision to message and unblock my cousin. I informed her that there would be no discussion about my partner and I keeping our child. I made it plain that I don't feel comfortable with her husband, or my aunt being part in my child's life and urged her to get good therapy if she hasn't already. She still hasn't replied. No matter what she says, she will no longer be involved in my child's life, and our connection will not be the same as it was. Third update. The birth of my kid and other endeavors while I heal and take care of her have kept me quite busy over the past 3 months. I hadn't had a chance to update until now, despite logging onto Reddit a few times. My baby is almost 4 months old, and I am currently 25. Time goes by so quickly. She is doing great and makes us very happy. She is maturing so quickly, and I enjoy taking walks with her. I have begun my job search and intend to return to work shortly. I appreciate all of your best wishes and concerns. I hope the Thanksgiving holiday season is going well for everyone. Here is the long-awaited update regarding my cousin and aunt. My aunt and cousin have been quiet since my last update. My aunt contacted me in August using a different phone after my cousin failed to reply to my SMS. She inquired about my health and whether I had given birth yet. She expressed concern for my babies and my well-being during our brief conversation because I had cut off a lot of contact with my family and quit my work. My aunt told me that they had been attempting to adopt a child through their church ties but had not yet been successful, most likely because they had only recently begun the process. When I inquired about my cousin, my aunt said that my cousin's husband's past would be an issue when I questioned if they had spoken with a legitimate adoption agency. My aunt went on to talk about how the white birth rate is declining and how people are purposefully avoiding motherhood, something I was unaware of. Then she became upset, bringing up irrelevant subjects like 9th-month abortions, and asked if I still wanted the baby. She is a staunch pro-lifer. I told her again that I really wanted to keep my child. She went on to discuss how my cousin, who was in her early 30s, was growing older and how her nest was still empty. My aunt wanted me to at least share the joy by letting my cousin spend time with and be a part of my daughter's life. I informed her that because of their previous actions, this would not be feasible. I was afraid my cousin would attempt to play the part of a mother and let her illusions to take over once more. I refused to accept my aunt's insistence that my cousin was attempting to better herself and had received church therapy. She went on to ask if I knew of any resources or people who might be interested in adopting a child. I informed her that I didn't and suggested that my cousin and her spouse exercise caution and patience while they prepare to become parents. Given that everyone around them is hitting motherhood milestones, my aunt stressed how crucial it was for my cousin and her husband to have children, not just because they deserve them, but also for their reputation. She pushed me on when I might have my next child and changed the topic to my future family plans. After this surprise pregnancy, my aunt informed me that family planning was crucial and asked if she and my cousin might be involved the next time. I became weary of the talk as the call continued and her typical behavior became more noticeable. Thank goodness, she ended the call before me because she had an event to attend. I like that my sister is there to inform me of any updates pertaining to my former church as well as what's going on with my aunt, cousin, and other family issues. My sister said my aunt was telling the truth about my cousin. Although my cousin still has severe depressed episodes, her general mental health appears to have considerably improved from her worst moments. Her lack of children and her tense relationships with my sister and myself might make her feel extremely empty at times. Since many of their local alternatives have closed, my cousin and her husband are also looking into the possibilities of finding an IVF doctor overseas in the hopes of a miracle. My cousin seems to still think of my kid as something she lost, but she has been pleading for forgiveness of her sins and hopes that God will soon provide her children. For obvious reasons, my side of the family and I have opted to miss Thanksgiving in a few days. I intend to go back to work shortly, most likely following the holidays. I've already made daycare plans and taken all the required safety measures. All things considered, the future appears bright once more. I appreciate your support, everyone. If you have any questions concerning parenting, Mormonism, my family, etc., please contact me. An intriguing aside would be that my aunt has expressed her readiness for the grandma life, and has taken a strong interest in my cousin's family starting endeavors. When we were younger, my aunt also said that because my sister and I lost our mother when we were very little, she would be like a grandmother to our future children. She must not be as excited about us as she once was. I watched my husband marry my best friend while texting me working late, unraveling decades of lies to discover the truth. The text message shining in my car's darkness was St. 2 p.m. Mary's Church. You have to see this. Unknown count. My hands shook as I held the steering wheel and watched visitors pass past my rain-streaked glass inside the ancient stone edifice. Right now, Eleanor, a cut-rate private investigator, is waiting in my car wondering if I have finally lost my mind. Ryan, my spouse, reported to me he had a business conference in Chicago. The calendar read something like that. His secretary verified that as well. The hotel reservation revealed just that. But here I am, parked across from a Boston church since some stranger chose to act as guardian angel, or demon. I haven't made any decisions yet. This is crazy, I said to myself, but I'm already grabbing my sunglasses. As I get out of my car, heels clicking against damp ground, the church bells begin their sad call. Every stride seems like me moving toward my own execution. I slide in through the side door and settle behind a marble pillar. I smell lies and incense, and for a second I find myself back 7 years ago on my own wedding day. Same church, different dreams. My heart stops when the organ begins to play. He is because there he is. Ryan's. My Ryan here. Hands clasped in front of him, that familiar anxious tick in his jaw, standing at the altar in a tuxedo I have never seen before. Chicago is not where he resides. Here he is. The bride shows up at the door, and the ground moves underfoot. Extended dark hair, olive-based skin, that elegant walk I would know anywhere. Megan. My friend from 3rd grade, best buddy. The woman who guided me in selecting my own wedding gown. Dearly beloved. As I watch them exchange vows, the priest's words vanish into white noise. Promising to love each other till death, my spouse and best buddy part. As he assured me. Like we all vowed to each other when we were young, buddies always, no secrets, no lies. I recall not leaving the chapel. The drive home is not clear from memory, but I recall the deciding moment. Sitting in our ideal, magazine-worthy kitchen, which Ryan insisted on redoing last year, I watched the sunset through windows that unexpectedly seemed like prison bars. There is buzz on my phone. Ryan. Running late for a conference, don't hold back. I grab his preferred scotch, the one he saves for special events. As I swallow, the liquid burns my throat and I relish the suffering. Unlike all else in my life, it is real. Still another text from the unidentified number. Now you know. Regarding that, what are your plans? What am I going to do? I laugh. It sounds strange to me. Sharp, hazardous, like smashing glass. Opening my laptop, I begin to type. Dear Laura, with any luck, this email reaches you. I had been considering organizing that family reunion you have always wanted. Because betrayal is exactly that. It's about the complex dance of falsehoods that preceded it, not only about the deed itself. The deftly created alibis. The grins that have been taught. The little touches that were meaningless. And Ryan, my lovely, beautiful Ryan, has always danced rather well. But thus have I as well. I sip another scotch and grin. Let their honeymoon take place. Let them believe they are winners. Time is on my side. And I possess something higher than their adoration. I possess their faith. The sun sets totally, darkening me. For the first time today though, I can see everything clearly. Each page of the old photo album seems weighty on my lap, memories I no longer trust weighing me. Ryan, Megan, and I at 16 are spread out on my parents' yard. Ryan's arm circles both of us as we chuckle at some old joke. Like everything else about that summer, the corners of the picture show where. Ryan from downstairs phones, I ordered Chinese. His footfalls each make my skin crawl in our residence. 3 days after his second wedding, he has been home behaving as though nothing had changed. That he did not simply destroy all we had created. As he walks into our bedroom with 2 plates of food I won't eat, I close the album. Remember when we used to get takeout with Megan every Friday? The words fly from my mouth before I could stop them, sharp as broken glass. Ryan's grin falls short of directly reaching his eyes. That was a lifetime ago. Was it? I get up and let the album thump to the floor with pleasant resonance. Because she looked exactly the same 3 days ago. Just for a moment, his chopstick stopped midway to his mouth. Blink would cause you to miss it. Still, I see it. I am catching everything right now. Eleanor. He sets down his plate and approaches me with the same worried look he used on challenging clients. Has your drinking been? I chuckle. It sounds like the laughter of my mother following Dad's departure. That is your move? Gaslight the wife into thinking she is crazy? His hand reaches for mine as he replies. I'm worried about you. I pull back. When did it start? Burns my throat. Was it before our wedding? During? Tell me, Ryan. Was I the backup plan or the cover story? You're not making any sense, he replies, but his left hand quickly sits. His tell when he lies. I have spent 7 years mastering his rhythms and compiling his routines. Funny how precisely you perceive things when you're searching for the holes. I was at St. Mary's on Tuesday. Words like smoke hang between us. Nice tux, by the way. Better than the one you wore at our wedding. The mask slides, just for a moment, but it's plenty. His eyes turn cold and calculated. The Ryan I never let myself see is this one. It is not what you think. Don't. My voice is not trembling. I take great satisfaction in that. Don't offend me with excuses. I watched you marry my best friend while I was supposed to be your loving wife at home. What exactly should I think? Another clue as he rubs his hands through his hair. It's complicated, you don't grasp some of it. Like what? The joint bank accounts you opened? The property you bought together? Alternatively, maybe the fact your mother knew the whole time? That renders him unable. How could you? I go to the drawer and pull out the stack of papers I have gathered over the past 3 days. I am not the moron you believe me to be. You should really use better passwords than our anniversary date, though I guess that's meaningless now. Eleanor, please? He grabs for the docs. I control them. We can work this out, I will explain everything. Like you explained your business trip to Chicago? I laid the papers, bank statements, property titles, emails, on the bed. Or should we talk about the trust fund Laura established for your children with Megan? His face turns white. You had no right, said. I had every right. Raw and primitive, the scream tears from my throat. I am your wife. I was your friend. We grew up together. All 3 of us, and you. I pause, breathing hard. He is looking at me as though he has never seen me before. Perhaps he never did? Perhaps I never really seen myself either. Get out. Right now, my voice is solid, definite. Likewise is true with my residence. Not now. One last document I retain is a power of attorney signed last year when he was too busy managing